Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about the 5 mistakes that the students make in their tests. So the first one is addition and subtraction of fractions. One of the most common mistakes that my students make in their math exam. So when you want to add 4 over 7 and, for example, 6 over 7, it is so simple because the denominators are the same. So the common denominator would be 7, and then you can add 4 and 6 to get 10. Also, when you want to subtract, when you have, for example, 11 over 5 minus 7 over 5, it is also simple because the denominators are the same. So you will get the same thing here, 5, and 11 minus 7 is equal 4. Okay? But the problem is that when you have fractions with different denominators, for example, 1 over 3 plus 3 over 4. If you want to add these two fractions, you need a common denominator. So you have to write, for example, 3 times 4, 12 for both of them. Then you will see that 3 is multiplied by 4. So 1 should also multiply by 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. Now, 4 is times by 3, and 3 should also multiply by 3. We get 3 times 3 equals 9. So the final answer is 4 plus 9 equals 13 over 12. Also, you can do the same thing for subtraction. 9 over 7, for example, minus 1 over 2. So, as I told you, the denominators should be the same. So 7 times 2, 14, and 14 here. 7 is times by 2. 9 should also multiply by 2. So 9 times 2, 18. Then 2 is multiplied by 7. So 1 times 7 is 7. 18 minus 7 is equal 11 and 14 in the denominator. That's it. The second problem and the second mistake that a lot of students lose easy marks on that is order of operation. We have different types of rules, but if you take a look at them carefully, you will see that they are not different. For example, something like PEMDAS or BEDMAS, they are all the same. So the first one means the parentheses or bracket. The second one is indices or exponent. The third one, you can check these two together. Multiplication and division. And the last two part is for addition and subtraction. Okay? And the common mistake, for example, when you have 7 minus 3 times 2, if you do this operation first and write it 4, then times by 2, the answer is all wrong. But you have to do first the times. So 3 times 2 is 6. So 7 minus 6 equals 1. That is the correct answer. Now let's take a look at a tricky question. 3 times 5 minus 2 plus 3 times 4 divide by 4. As I told you, first 3 times 5, which is equal 15. Then you can do multiplication or division. No matter. I will start with the multiplication in that order. 3 times 4 is 12. And then 12 divided by 4 is 3. So all we have is 15 minus 2 plus 3, which is 15 minus 2 equals 13. So 13 plus 3 equals 16. That is the correct answer. The third one is expansion. This tiny mistake can cost you a lot of points. When you have 4 times x plus 2, remember to multiply 4 by x and write it as 4x. Also multiply 4 by plus 2 to get plus 8. That is the correct way of expanding. Now let's talk about multiplying a negative number by the bracket. For example, minus 5 times by x minus 2. Again, minus 5 should multiply by x to get minus 5x. And minus 5 should multiply by negative 2 to get plus 10. And another question, another common mistake of the students. Minus 4 times by x plus 2. Sometimes the students will forget to multiply this negative 4 by all the terms. So first, negative 4 times x, negative 4x. Then, negative 4 times plus 2, the answer is negative 8. But accidentally, students will write it as plus 8, which is wrong. Mistake number 4 is the powers. And if you're doing this mistake, you are giving away marks for free. For example, you know how to raise 4 to the power of 2. It is the same as 4 times 4 equals 16. But the problem is that when we have negative 4 in bracket square and we have negative 4 square, one of them with bracket or parentheses, the other one without it. So the first one is negative 4 times by negative 4, but the second one is just negative 4 times 4. As you can see, negative 4 times negative 4 is just 16, but negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. That is the difference between these two. And the last mistake is about quadratic equation. When you have x squared equals, for example, 4. Students will write the answer as just x equals 2. But the problem is that x is equal to also negative 2. Remember, 2 answers for the quadratic. If I change the question to x squared equals, for example, 5, then the answers are x equals square root of 5 and x equals negative root 5. Again, 2 answers. That's it. This video is almost done. Please share my video and subscribe if you like. Thank you so much.